was thinking about something, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Just hear me out on this.
Okay.
Phil Spencer
Mm-hmm.
walked into a meeting and said, I want to spend half of our cash that we have in the bank, and I want a promotion.
What, do you think he said that?
I mean, that's what he did, though. I mean, I spent $55 on a
it's
pair of slippers, and my wife yelled at me. He's spending $70 billion and gets a promotion.
so I got to go back. I don't know if you saw the two memos. Satya Nadella and Phil Spencer
Mm-hmm.
wrote memos to employees, right, that have leaked online or whatever.
I didn't think
And
it
I don't.
leaked. I think they actually posted them. Microsoft did.
Okay.
Anyways.
So I don't remember. Yeah, I don't, so it doesn't matter. But part of me thinks this isn't so much a promotion as it is just a name change, right?
It probably is.
And I've said before, like his previous title was frivolous. Like I don't understand why you would undermine a career in that fashion. But whatever. Okay, video games. It's weird. There was, however, some shift there. Like Microsoft Gaming, like that new business.
Mm-hmm.
Took in at least some of the marketing group that was previously under Chris Capicella,
Mm-hmm.
which to me suggests that this thing, it always was independent. But it feels like it's even more independent. Like we're going to
Mm-hmm.
handle every aspect of our presentation to the world now, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And who knows? I mean, maybe, people have kind of speculated, does this mean that Microsoft is preparing to spin this off as a standalone business now that it's sustainable? I don't
It's
have
hard.
any insight into that. You could make a good case, I think, in either way. Mary Jo argued yesterday that no, that doesn't mean this. And no, it doesn't literally mean it, but it does have the feel of it always felt independent, but it has the feel of a slightly more independent. Imagine if,
Mm-hmm.
I had made the argument yesterday too, when you think about Microsoft as a giant business, they have three primary business units. Two of them are overwhelmingly cloud-based. The other one is more personal computing. And the only one that made and the only part of that, and the parts of that being Windows, Surface, and Xbox, the only part of that makes any sense in the cloud world, and this is a future thing, is Xbox.
Yeah.
So maybe over time, that business unit more closely resembles the rest of Microsoft in that it is perhaps primarily cloud-based revenues or something. Maybe not, but whatever. But the other way to look at it is, what if Microsoft does make this a top-level business unit separate from the rest of Microsoft?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's conceivable. It would make sense, and that would, I think, speak to the possibility of it becoming its own thing. Microsoft could still own a lot of it or whatever.
I might be misquoting some of this, but I thought that Activision, their last quarter, made something like $700 million in net income.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which, if you think about it, Microsoft doesn't give any transparency into the actual net income of Xbox. It's always just a revenue line item, and we don't know if they're making money. But buying something like Activision, that might
makes it profitable, perhaps.
Yeah.
So off the top of my head, I believe they're the last year of revenues and net income we have for them, which is 2020, because they still haven't reported from last year. I believe it was a $2 billion net income on $8 billion revenues.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at a business like more personal computing, I would imagine Windows makes at least eight or more billion a quarter. Just to kind of put this in perspective or whatever. And compared to video games, that's easy money, right? I mean, you don't have to assemble what is essentially a movie crew to make the next Call of Duty when you're shipping the next version of Windows. In fact, if anything, it looks like it was done in someone's garage,
Yeah.
by two pals. By comparison, it's not a big operation. So I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. But
So in November so for Q3, Activision reported $639 million net income.
And what was their revenues?
$2 billion, $2.07 billion.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, not that every quarter is the same, but that's roughly eight.
Well, that's Q3. Typically, we would expect, I think, Q4 to be even higher because that's when Call of Duty comes out.
And my number is from the previous year too. So yes, presumably, whatever the growth rate of this company is, their full year revenues will be higher than 8. They could be, who knows? I don't know. I don't know what they grow at, but yeah. Well, we had that little exchange about 1Password yesterday on Twitter. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a company that was valued in the billions. It has 100,000 paying customers. 100,000. When I said the number 100, you think the next thing is going to be million or something, or what?
Yeah.
No. It's a relatively small business valued very highly. Activision is a relatively very big business valued incredibly highly, and it was a year ago. It was even more. I don't know. This is a part of it. I don't. Not a money guy. I'm not a finance guy, whatever. But
Google and Apple railing against big antitrust. No surprise here. I mean, like, water continues to be wet.
right. I should go back. I haven't looked at the comments on this one yet. I thought. Of course, I always think this. I thought I was pretty fair about this. With my history in Microsoft antitrust as a background, I can look at the arguments that Google makes, and I can see parallels, and I can see both sides of the story. I mean, Google wants things to be better for consumers is the argument. Google really wants things to be better for Google, but whatever, we can, both can happen. And then, and of course, I think they're exaggerating the effect of what could happen here. But fundamentally, what the government is looking at is Google not favoring its own services over those of third parties. It doesn't mean unilaterally. The best service should always win. The most relevant search results should always be at the top, whether it's a Google service or a third-party service. And that's obviously not what they're doing. So that's what's really happening there. I don't know. I've spent a lot of time in Google Maps on this trip, and I have a lot to say about it. I'm not going to do it here, but there are weird differences between the app on different platforms, which has been very aggravating. There are weird, look, everyone's used Google Map. You ever do this? You want to see the name of a street, and you sit there like a jerk trying to scroll in and out and try, and then for 1 second it like flashes and it goes away. Here's an idea: if I'm continually zooming in on a thing, why don't you show me the name of that thing? Or you have pins you've saved and they don't show up, and you're zooming into an area and it's showing you other restaurants or something that are in the area, and it's like, I want to see the thing I said I wanted, that kind of stuff. Anyway, I could go on, and I obviously do, but those kinds of things to me speak to the central problem here, which is that Google is not in fact making anything better for consumers necessarily. They're making things better for themselves by highlighting the restaurants that advertise on the service over the needs of the person, in this case me, who wants to find the thing he already said he wanted. So anyway, it's a big complex issue. We're not going to solve it, but I think I don't think many people would, well, unless you're like just so totally pro-American, you don't care about anything else. I don't think many people would argue that there needs to be at least some regulatory oversight of these gigantic corporations that could buy and sell most countries on Earth.
Yeah.
That's all. Just speaking generally, we can kind of look at the specific issues, but Google Maps, I want to kill this thing. Well, it speaks to, but look, Apple Maps started as a joke.
Yeah,
and
it really did.
I don't use it, but a lot, I hear from a lot of people on Apple. They're like, actually, it's gotten really good. Okay, and Apple is probably a little less beholden to the economic forces that drive Google.
Sure.
I'm just, and maybe look, I'll speak even more generally. Maybe what's really needed here is what's needed everywhere else, which is actual competition, which would force this company to make a product that was actually competitive and met the needs of the users. Instead, we all get addicted to it, and then there's only one choice, and then they just lead us down a path of what everything else is of that company. It's all advertising.
Are you saying Bing Maps is not a viable solution, Paul Thurrott?
I guess what I'm saying is I actually completely forgot it existed. Is it a thing I can get on my phone? I don't even.
Paul's over there still using TomTom, just trying to get around Mexico.
I printed out MapQuest instructions so I could get to the restaurant last night.
Well, you can get vaguely in the right area with MapQuest directions. You would get within 1 square mile of it. Just keep driving around.
Which, just if you don't mind a weird diversion, I just saw this.
Please go on.
Well, no, I think you'll be interested. This is a question for you.
Yeah.
Apple or Tesla does not support CarPlay.
Nope, does not.
What is up with that?
I don't know. So people are really. I don't know if it needs it.
It seems like these two companies would be
You would think.
On the same page, right?
It supports your phone being the key. It supports a bunch of stuff. Like it has Spotify built in. It has a web browser. It has games. It supports text messaging. It supports just about everything.
Does it do Android Auto?
Nope.
So it doesn't do either one of the.
Nope.
That seems bizarre to me.
But at the same time, I don't really know what I would use it for. Because as an example, like my wife's car has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Because the Ford Sync is just a dumpster fire, and the maps and navigation and all that stuff is fine. Like in my car, I just go on Google. Like if I want to drive to where you are in Mexico City, I just go and punch in the address, and I hit send to my car, and when I get in there, it's already there.
Send to your car.
Yeah.
So in the car itself, there's navigation. You've got a 27-inch screen or whatever it is.
Yep.
So what is the built-in navigation?
Google Maps.
It is Google Maps. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
With live traffic and charging. And...
I never thought about this topic.
Yeah.
I saw that headline. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It seems like these two companies would be so aligned.
Yeah, I get where people are coming from. Maybe they want a familiar interface, but at the same time, there's nothing in my wife's Apple CarPlay that I don't have in my car, except maybe the only thing that might be slightly improved is text messaging, because it uses Bluetooth for that, which means it doesn't support group messaging, which can get a little dicey sometimes. But
jeez,
that's a limitation of Bluetooth more than anything else. But
okay, well, if you say so. I guess if group messaging on an iPhone just worked like is he just saying no text messaging app can do group messaging over Bluetooth?
I believe so.
Really?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Like in-car stuff can't do it. Like when you connect your phone up, there's a big message on the screen that says group text messaging is not supported. It's a limitation of Bluetooth. It's like literally what it says on the screen.
I like that they throw Bluetooth under the bus.
Yeah, like they're just like, look, we would do it if we could. But...
Okay, I don't know anything about that, but okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's that. Who knows? Also, Google is starting to test out their playing games on Windows, but only in select markets. Now, I think I might know why, but it's in Hong Kong, South Korea, and Taiwan, mostly because that market has a massive mobile gaming industry, more so compared to the U.S., and so I'm guessing that they're trying to just get it out the door over there first.
Yeah, it's a beta. There were questions when they first announced it about how it's going to work, and remember they were kind of weird, like, we're not working with Microsoft. Like this has nothing to do with what's happening in Windows. So this thing is an app. I can't see it yet, right? Because it's only I don't remember the markets, but it's like Hong Kong and Korea maybe, and one other place, something like that. Taiwan. But it's just a Windows app. So it must have an Android emulator of some kind. You are downloading the apps locally. You're not streaming them. And then there's some, obviously, like everything, like Android app support, Windows 11 in beta, there's just a limited number of titles right now, of course. And I'm sure it's some of the ones that are popular in those markets. I'm really interested in this. I'm curious. Because there's, when you think about Xbox as a platform and some of the things they do with cross-play or cross-device play with xCloud, where, I could play Halo here on my computer for a little while. I go over to my console and it picks up where I left off. They're offering that kind of functionality as well. And I think that's the big appeal, because people of Android phones are going to want to do that on whatever their computer is, whether it's a Chromebook or a Windows PC or a Mac. And I'm sure they want to bring this to Mac and will.
So, anyways, like if people thought it was going to be vaporware or something from Google, it's not. I mean, it's definitely starting to roll out. So
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, just like we're rolling into Friday.
Woohoo!